Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, before this video begins, I want to make it very clear that what I am doing is an experiment that I am doing. I'm not telling anyone to do this. This can be dangerous if you don't do your research. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to see if a Uco Candlelier lantern will heat the inside of the bunker to at least a 60 to 64 degree temperature, with the outside temperatures being between 26 and 28 degrees. However, I do not recommend that anyone do this at home. This is something that I'm doing just because I'm curious to see if the little Uco Candlelier lantern will actually do it, because it does have an output of 5,000 BTU. So enjoy the video. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to see if this Uco Candlelier can heat my bunker. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've reviewed this candelier before a long time ago. I think probably close to 2 years ago now. And for those of you that don't know what it is, it's just a candle holder that holds 3 candles. And the candles that are used with this candelier, they look like this. They're special candles that you insert into those little cylinders that you see in there. And what happens is as the candle burns up, the cylinders push the candle up to keep pressure on it. That way the burn will be efficient throughout the entire life of the candle. Each of these candles lasts roughly 9 hours. But the thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that it produces roughly 5,000 BTU of heat. My bunker has been heated so far with just a small, I think it's 11,000 BTU electric heater. Now, yes, I do have a heater that I have professionally installed that works off of propane. However, I've only got the pilot running, because it seems that whenever I put this heater, even on number 1, right now you can see that it's on half right there. You see that? It's like on half between 1 and the pilot. So whenever I put this on number 1, it brings the temperature inside the bunker to about 67, 68 degrees. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, for me, that's a little too hot. Inside our house, we keep our temperature around 64, 65. We're comfortable with that temperature. And I actually think that it's better to keep the temperature a little lower in the winter. I think personally that it's better for your health. All right, because bacteria loves to grow in moist air that's warm. So let me go ahead and show you the small electric heater that I've been using so far to heat the bunker. So far, this has just been like an experiment. As you can see, I still have it strapped to this ladder. And the reason I have it strapped to this ladder is because I want to experiment with it throughout the winter to see if it can actually heat the bunker when it's negative degree temperatures. Right now, like I said, it's like 26 degrees outside today. So I want to see if we can heat the bunker at 26 degrees outside temperatures with just that candelier. And as you can see right now, this heater is off. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug it from the wall, which is right here. So now it's unplugged. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be somewhat of a trust factor. So you're going to have to actually trust that what I'm telling you is the truth. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to go ahead and set a watch next to the candelier once I light it, that shows the date and the time. And I'm also going to go ahead and show you this thermometer that I have here, this digital thermometer that I have, that shows you that the inside temperature right now is 61 degrees. Now, the reason that this says 58 degrees for the outside temperature is because this is where I have the sensor. I just figured that I would put the sensor here so that I would know what temperature it is at the point of where the heater has its thermostat, so I know how cold or hot it has to get for the heater to either turn on or turn off. But right now, like I said, it's about 26 degrees outside, and our inside temperature, at least this area right here in the bunker, is 61 degrees. I'm going to wait until this temperature here gets to about 55 degrees to start our experiment. I'm hoping that the pilot in our propane heater doesn't keep the temperature up in here. If it does, I'll go ahead and turn the pilot off. But I'm thinking that it's not really going to cause that much of a difference in ambient temperature in here. So we will go ahead and come back once this temperature here is around 55 degrees, which might take a few hours because I did insulate the bunker pretty well. So as you can see, the heater's off. Okay, it's not plugged in. And our temperature is now 57 degrees right here. And it's 60 degrees right below the propane heater that I showed you here a minute ago. And here's the time. It is 10:31 a.m. on Tuesday the 26th. Now what I'm doing now is I'm going to go do some chores and some errands that I have to do in town. I'll probably be back in about 3 hours or so, something like that. And we'll see what the temperature is in here at that time. And then we'll see if it gets low enough to where we can actually start to test the Uco Candlelier. I'm not sure how long it's been, but right now it's about 1:30 in the afternoon. And I know that this here says 6:38, but I just never set the clock. But there's my phone there, 1:31. And as you can see here, it is Tuesday, October 26th, and it is currently 29 degrees outside. And the temperature inside the bunker is 57 degrees in this area right here. And you can see that it's 55 degrees where the propane heater is. So I think this is a pretty good temperature for us to start our little experiment. I wanted to go ahead and also show you a second time. Tuesday, the 26th of October, and it's 1:31. Okay, so obviously this watch here is a few seconds behind. So let's go ahead, let's light up our candelier, and let's see what happens. All right, so all we have to do to uncover the candles is just twist off the bottom here. Very easy. And as you can see, when I first got this, I tried it out for a little bit. So about 95 or more % of the candles are still there. Let me get me a lighter. What I gotta do here is just light this up. And as you can see, they are all lit. Now all we have to do is put this over it, and it locks into place. And there we go. It is now locked into place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the middle of the room over here on top of some mason jars that I have from one of my last payday preps that I showed you all. And then we're going to go ahead and start the timer. Now as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, all 3 candles are going. You just saw the temperature. Let me show you one last thing that I want to show you about, because I know some people are going to mention this. This here is my carbon monoxide detector. Okay? And when you press this button up here, it tells you what the carbon monoxide ppm was the last time that it detected any carbon monoxide. As you can see here in the memory for the parts per million for the carbon monoxide, you can see that it's 0. So we'll see if this changes at all after the room comes up to temperature, if it does, and we'll just take it from there. So we'll see you all in a few hours. I'm going to watch some YouTube while I'm waiting for this to heat up. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, never, never, ever leave anything as far as candles or even... Look, isn't this pretty? Look at this add-on lamp that one of our community members sent me. That's just beautiful. I don't even want to put any oil in it and use it because it's so pretty. But never leave any candles, any lamps, or anything like that unattended, ever. You just never know. All right, so we'll be back when it comes back up to temperature. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been about 40 minutes. You can take a look at my watch here. It's 2:12. We started at about 1:39 or so. It was about a minute or so after I showed you the watch at 1:38. So it's been roughly 40 minutes. And look at our temperature. It's gone up by 2 degrees. And I wanted to show you the candelier. I have this little gadget here that tells you what the temperature is on a surface that you're pointing at it. So let's see. You see the little laser there, little red light. I'm going to go ahead and aim it at the edge because that's where most of the heat comes from. So I'm going to aim it so you can see what the temperature is coming out of it. Okay, let's see if it'll show the little laser. There's the laser. So the temperature coming out of there is roughly 150, 170 degrees. There you go. There's the hottest part. So roughly between 150 and 170 degrees. And it has brought our temperature up in the room here. Now it's at 58 degrees. As you can see there, it's at 58 degrees. Now, there is something that I forgot to mention before we started this experiment is, for those of you that weren't here during the build of the bunker, the inside of the bunker is 11 feet by 11 feet. The outside is 12 feet by 12 feet. However, we have to take into consideration the thickness of the walls. And I used 2 by 6 to construct the walls. And then you take into consideration the additional 1/4 inch or so for the wall lining. So it's roughly 11 feet wide by 11 feet long. So it's a perfect square. And one wall right here, as you can see, this one wall right here, that's our short wall, which is about 8 feet in height. And then, as you can see, we have a slanted roof that goes all the way up to a height of 12 feet. All right, so I'm not sure what the cubic feet is, but the area is 121 square feet inside of this bunker. And as you can see here also, here is our carbon monoxide detector. Let me see if I can get you some light. Our carbon monoxide detector is up to 56 degrees, but this is right next to the window, so it's going to be a little bit cooler. And let's see if it's picked up any carbon monoxide at all. And it's still at 0. So far, so good, ladies and gentlemen. I will bring you back when we get another temperature change. Probably every 2 degrees or so, I'll bring you back until it gets up to around 64. Because that's what I normally keep it at in here anyways. It's about 64 degrees. And let me go ahead and show you that our heater over here is still only on pilot. Okay? And I actually put it all the way to pilot. That way there wouldn't be a chance for it to turn on at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 3:50. So it's been about a little over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 10 minutes. And look at that, 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Now, something that I failed to tell you before, when I gave you the dimensions of this bunker, I call it the bunker. For those of you that are new here, first of all, welcome. And this is just a glorified shed. Okay, it's a glorified shed. It's where I do my little YouTube videos. Isn't that a pretty painting? Look at that. Something I forgot to tell you is I told you that the walls were constructed out of 2 by 6 stock, but the insulation that I have in between the walls is dual insulation, which means that on the outside part of the wall, inside of the studs, I went ahead and I put a 2-inch foam insulation. So the 2-inch foam insulation is right up against the outside of the sheathing. All right. And then on top of that 2-inch foam insulation, I put some R13 fiberglass insulation. So altogether, there's roughly about R25 insulation in the walls. And that's including everything, including the floor, the walls, and the ceiling or the roof as well. So I've got about roughly R25, R25 and a half wrapped all the way around this structure. We're at 60 degrees in here, all the way up from, I think it was 55 when we started, at 138. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Spoiler alert, I'm going to go ahead and do a dual candelier. We're only doing it with this one candelier today, but this is going to be a 3-part experiment. And what I'm doing is right now, since it's about 26 degrees outside, we're doing it with one because that's not really that cold here in Alaska. And like I said, it's pretty well insulated. But I'm going to do it again when it's like around 0 or around the single digits to see if this one will keep it warm in here as well. And if not, we'll add a second one. And when it gets to like -20 or below -20, we're going to go ahead and fire up a second candelier. So I'm going to have 2 more videos coming up at a different temperature to see if these can actually, you know, heat a room like it's heating this one so far. I would say that you can live in 60 degrees, right? So right now it's 60 degrees and it's been about 2 hours. So far this is working out. Let's go take a look at our carbon monoxide detector. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me turn the light on just a second. Here it is. You can see it's 58 here, and of course it's going to be 58 here because it's right next to the window. But as you can see, it's 58. Let's go ahead and see what it has for the memory. Just a second. Okay, there you go. Memory ppm 0. So this thing has done a really good job at warming up this space. I wanted to bring up the temperature to about 64 degrees. So you saw it got to 60 degrees. I think that would be life-saving if you can keep a temperature at about 60 degrees. So I'm going to end it there. But like I said before, once the temperatures get down to the single digits or really close to 0, I'm going to do this experiment again, and I'm going to have a second candelier to put next to this one if we need to, just to see if we can, keep a room temperature at a temperature that would sustain life. And I think 60 degrees is plenty to sustain life. I'm pretty sure that, it would get a little higher if I kept this on for several hours more, but I've already been here for a little over 3 hours. Like I said, I would never leave a space that has any candles of any kind or any lamps burning by itself. So I've been here for a few hours. We're going to leave it at that, and we'll see what our next test divulge. Now, let me go ahead and leave it off with this. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you do your research, okay? Now, this is not something that I would use only to heat a space. This is like a very last resort. This is like the very last thing that I would ever use if I had to in a very dire emergency. All right. And even if I didn't do it this time because I have a carbon monoxide right there. But what if that carbon monoxide over there, what if it was faulty and I didn't know about it? It just happens to be a brand new one and it works pretty well. So, but what if it was faulty and I didn't know about it? Exactly. Right? I'd be in here and, it'd be too late because carbon monoxide, you really can't smell it or anything like that. And you just can't tell. So just make sure that you're careful if you ever try this. If any kids are watching this, make sure that you don't try this at home and do your own research, ladies and gentlemen, before you try to do something like this. I'm just trying to think outside the box to take a look at some of those things that would be life-saving in a life-threatening situation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, if I were to be using this as a primary source during a dire emergency, I would make sure that I had a small crack on my window, or at least a couple of windows. That way you can get some kind of a air movement inside and still be able to keep some of the warmth inside. But this thing, in my opinion, did a pretty good job. All right, I hope you got something out of this, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.